We are recording. Carlos, it's a
Hey,
miracle.
yeah, it's always a miracle when I'm around.
Yeah. How about you do me a favor and introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Carlos Fonseca. I'm, we grew up together, so we've known each other since what, 2005, 2004, something like that. We ended up going to school together. Um, we studied similar things. I did math and finance, and yeah, we've known each other for quite a bit, I would say.
Yeah, a few years. And somehow we bumped into each other in college.
Yeah, that was very surprising. I think we grew up together, and then you moved away when I was, I don't know, 14, 15, and you were in high school. So we didn't see each other during our high school years, but then we caught up when we were in college. So
Yeah,
we caught up in,
I remember walking and I was like, man, that dude looked just like Carlos. And I turn around, I'm like, that's gotta be his ass.
yeah, yeah, I remember that as well. So we caught up in like 2012, something like that. And yeah,
Yeah.
then it went from there. We talked to other people and we kind of mixed our friends together, and yeah.
Slowly developed a rivalry
I
because
don't know about slowly, but yeah, it's always been there.
it escalated very quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
This
No,
is this is all your fault.
we started fighting over FIFA and Super Smash Bros. Obviously, and then
God, those were
I
like
don't
the
know, man.
GameCube days.
Yeah, now we fight over stupid running races and running and other stupid bets.
You want to talk about Chicago?
Sure, sure. We can bring up my shameful past to bear.
I won't make you embarrass yourself, so you don't have to talk about it.
No, 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 it's fine. It's all good.
It was only seven
So
hundred dollars.
so what year was this? I think this was 2013. So
Yeah.
2013,
No,
I think,
no. This was. I think I'd already bought the house. I was like at 2015. Let's say 2015 ish.
yeah, I think you may be right. Yeah, I think this because we were living together at that point. So 2015 or so, I moved in with you after you purchased your house, and I think it was just kind of a drunken night or something where we just say, I think I'm faster than you or something like that.
No,
Uh,
let me tell this part because you clearly do not remember. But we were driving down to Charleston, and I don't think it was the bridge run, but I think it was like you, me, Jen, and one of her friends. And we drove down to Charleston, and then you were like, "Oh, by the way, I'm running the Chicago Marathon." And I said, "No, no, the fuck you're not. There's no way that you can run a marathon because I know you." And then that turned into, "Oh, well, I bet I can run one before you can," or and then it turned to like faster, and then we made a $500 bet on who could run Chicago Marathon faster.
I think it. I honestly don't remember if that's exactly how it started. I do remember that I said that I could run it because I did long distance running during my high school days, so I had the experience, and I was very skeptical of you running anything when you obviously never had run, a mile.
Yeah,
So,
I always have hated running, and I still hate running.
well, I got you started, right? Because you
Yeah,
got started
you are the only
running a
reason
marathon.
that I run today.
Well, there you go. You're welcome. And then I think it started off just a simple bet, $25 or something. And then every time we go out drinking or we would go out somewhere, it would just, double.
Escalate.
Uh, yeah. And then I think I remember there was a night where we were watching a football game or something, and then you pissed me off for some reason, and I was drunk, and I said, "Let's make it 700."
No, I think you said. I think I think you wanted 1,000, and then British, Jared, and Ben were like, absolutely not. You cannot put $1,000 on this one race.
Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. I think it was Jared who was kind of like saved me some money there because he said, "All right, let's keep the stakes down."
Let's keep
But
it
at
at
the
because we were at that point we were at 500. You wanted to double it, and then we ended up settling at 700.
yeah, I remember that.
But
So
this whole time, you're living in my house,
yeah, of course.
and I was training, and you never noticed.
Well, I was also training here and there.
Here and there. How many times did
I
you
was
run before the marathon?
I was running. I was running. I was just not running consistently. But I was running here and there. I think the thing is that, our schedules were different. So like, or not different, but
Carlos,
we
we
didn't.
both worked at Bank of America 9 to 5.
All right, fair enough. I honestly didn't notice when you were out running. And
Oh man.
you never said anything. You never said
Well, you
anything.
told me that you would feed me every weekend because I remember one time I was eating pizza. Jen and I got like some large pizza, and then we're like chowing down on it. And you're like, "Oh yeah, keep eating, Tubby, keep eating. I'll buy you pizza every weekend if up until the marathon." And I'm like, "Yes, I'm carbo loading. Like I am literally eating all this pizza so I can go run 13 miles tomorrow."
Well, oh, I didn't notice. I didn't realize you were out running. And for every 2 or 3 miles I was running, I guess you were fully running, 10 miles. So
Well, it's hilarious because literally up until the time that we got to Chicago, you were literally beyond confident that you were gonna whoop my ass.
it wasn't a question of me whooping your ass. I just did not believe you could go the distance. Because running a marathon is hard, man. It's very hard.
Well,
Competing in
it's
it is
not
hard.
easy, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, so I wasn't expecting you to go through it.
Yeah, that was probably one of the like best memories of my life is just finishing and then waiting 2 hours for you to finish. And then you get rolled out of the park in a wheelchair. And then I went out and got drunk that night.
Yeah, that was miserable. I remember I started well. I did like 10, 15 miles. Okay. I was running like a 9, 10 minute pace. But then like I guess I was wearing the wrong shoes or something, and I developed this giant blisters on my feet, and I can fucking barely walk. So I walked the second half of the marathon, and I was just dying. I mean, I crossed the finish line and I could barely walk. And of course,
Oh,
there was a girl there who saw me in pain, and she was like, "Oh, do you need some help?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm
yeah,
dying here."
chop my feet off, please.
So she gave me like a little wheelchair or something just to move me from like the finishing line to like, you know, the 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 ending or the runners area. It must have been like, I don't know, 20 meters or something, just to get me off the place where everyone was finishing. And of course, you were there to take a video, take pictures.
Oh yeah, I
Uh,
mean, again, I thoroughly enjoyed that,
to this day, I still see those pictures floating around.
dude. I'm telling you, one, I got like a couple of free beers because like that was my first marathon, my first time ever like training for anything. I'm very lazy, so I try not to train for anything, and I just mind my own business. You forced me to run a marathon, like put my head down and have a goal. Not only did it feel like euphoric to finish the marathon, but then knowing that you are in pain and suffering. I mean, I am telling you, I don't know if I've like, just thinking about it, I'm smiling ear to ear, just thinking of the amount of pain that you were in. And I was like, all right,
Yeah,
Carlos, let's go out and have a beer. And you're like, absolutely not.
I'm glad my pain brought you so much joy, man. It was definitely It's definitely horrible, and I could not move that night. I went to bed and slept the rest of the night. I couldn't do anything else. I had these giant blisters on my feet. I could not. It was like for the entire next 7 days, I was walking crooked just because those damn things were on my feet. It was horrible.
Yeah, I remember you showing me your feet, and I wanted to throw up because it was just one giant blister.
Yeah, it was not great.
But you are also the idiot who bought brand new shoes right before the marathon.
I don't think I had brand new shoes.
I'm
I don't
pretty
remember
sure
that
you
part.
did.
No, I don't remember that part.
Well, anyways, you couldn't walk forever. I'm telling you, man, like every weekend I would go out and drink, and everyone's like, wow, aren't you training? And I'm like, yeah, I have a rule on when I can drink, but I made it so that nobody knew that I was actually training.
You
Like,
actually created a fake Nike Plus profile. So
oh
you
yeah,
knew
because
that
you tried to track me.
no, no, no. I've had the same running app since Nike Plus ever first came out. That's how I recorded my run. So I've had the same app, and you can see, when I'm running, how much I'm running, how fast I'm going. And then you created a fake Nike Plus profile just to mess with me. Just to because you didn't record like a single run, or maybe two or three here and there, just to fake me out.
Look,
So
man,
I mean,
I could not afford, and props to you. I totally respect you on this one part. You paid up the $700.
yeah, the day after or the same week, I paid you, I wrote you a check, and then you posted it on Facebook to celebrate. I mean, graceful in victory and all that.
Dude, I am telling you, I've never been so proud of myself. Not only that I lived the life that I wanted, I still went out, drank, party, did whatever, eat whatever I wanted to do, but I also trained for a full marathon with nobody knowing. Like literally nobody knew except for Jen.
Yeah,
And
I think you were running with her.
she motivated me a lot because it took like 3 months to train, 3 or 4 months, I don't remember. And like the
Yeah, it was a
first or
sweat.
second time that I went running with her, and she like whooped my ass. Like we ran like 2.5 miles or something like that. And she like finished 5 minutes ahead of me. And I was just like, all right, this is not okay. And she's like, oh no, it's all right. We'll celebrate with some pizza. I was like, fuck that. We're eating salad. Like this is not acceptable. So she definitely put a lighter under my ass because like I was like, this is embarrassing. Like, because I don't think she was in that good of shape. I didn't realize how out of shape I was.
No, I think she was the most shaped than all of us, and I think you had a running buddy. I had nobody. It was just me motivating myself. And then obviously when I saw you every weekend just drinking and eating like you all usually do, kind of just put me in a put my mind at ease.
It's called
But
psychological warfare.
hey, you beat me on that one. I
That
can't say anything bad on that one.
was the greatest. Oh man, I'm telling you, if I could relive that day, I would relive it like 400 times.
Yeah, no, that's not.
Like Groundhog Day. Oh man, it was just. I'm telling you, just finishing the marathon was great, but then knowing that nobody expected it, you were dying. Like nothing, and it was like a sunny, warm day in Chicago. Like, what more could you ask for?
Yeah.
I got free
Well,
beer. Oh man.
it was definitely not as great for me as it was for you, for sure.
Well, if it makes you feeling better, I ran a half marathon like a week ago. I didn't
Yeah.
properly train. I trained for like 2 weeks. I finished it, right? Like in a decent time. And I was like, all right, good. It's over with, right? Like I finish, I go home, take a shower, go out, grab a beer, grab food. And then like as the day went on, I could not like go up and down stairs. Like Next thing I know, it's like starting to hurt to walk. And then like because New York City subway is New York City subway, half of these escalators aren't working in the subway. And I look down and there's like 100 steps to get into the subway. And I'm like, fuck. Like
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I almost like just stopped and was like telling people to like go ahead of me because I could not bend my knees to go down the stairs.
I mean, look, I'm glad you're still running, man. I think it's one of those things that, it's a life skill, something you pick up forever, and it's good for you. And I think I think you owe me $700 for improving your life.
I'll get you
Uh,
a beer in Charleston. How about
yeah, thanks.
that? Oh man. No, but right now you're traveling, right? You're in San Francisco?
Yeah, so I'm currently in San Francisco for work. Um, just to give you a little more background, like I mentioned, I did finance, so most of my background and work has been on finance and banking.
How's San
So
Francisco? Is it on fire like everyone always says?
surprisingly, it was not. I get a chance to spend quite a bit of time in San Francisco, just going out a couple of times for dinner. And then I also got a couple of times just eating out in San Jose as well. Um, I would say the homeless problem is an issue and is definitely something that you can see quite a bit. But living in the South, especially where I live in Atlanta, I didn't see California burning to the ground like I normally see every night on the news.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the thing that I hate, right? It's like there's always going to be something bad with like every place you go to. Like that's just impossible to avoid. But there's always like this agenda to like make San Francisco look as bad as possible. Not to say that it's like heaven, but I don't know. Like what did San Francisco do to get like so much hate?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's gotten quite a bit worse than what people remember even, 5, 10 years ago. I got a chance to talk to some people who were definitely, not liking the direction of where things were going. But I think it's still a very cool city, and there's lots of things to do, lots of things to eat and drink. And the people are really cool. The people are very nice and very open. So I would say San Francisco is a pretty cool city if you have the money, if you can afford to live there. I was looking at some some prices for rent and just general cost of living, just to see if it would have been possible for me to move there for work. And unfortunately, it's just not possible. I would need to double my salary to live there comfortably. So
What
I
kind of
think it's
what was rent looking like?
for one bedroom around $3,500.
It's not cheap.
Basically, yes, that's New York prices, right?
Yeah, I mean that's what you would pay here. I mean, always depends on the area, but yeah, that's probably around average, if not maybe a
Yeah,
little bit more.
yeah. So a lot of people I get a chance to talk to, they were suffering under just higher higher rent prices, higher expenses. I think there were a few lucky people who bought properties before everything kind of just spiked. And they're very fortunate to have benefit from the increase of their houses and stuff. But a lot of people, just normal working people, I mean, if you talk to, just the Uber driver or just the server or whoever, they could tell you that they're not having a good time, and it's hard for them to live there.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was in San Francisco, half of my Uber drivers lived in Sacramento or like somewhere else, and they like drive
Yep.
in, get a hotel, or stay right outside of the city, Uber for like a whole weekend or whatever, and then go back home,
Yeah.
which is kind
Yeah.
of
That.
crazy, right? Like that. I think that San Francisco, New York, a lot of these places are a prime example of the income gap that exists in this country, right?
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely an income gap between kind of, you know, even the middle class, between the low income middle class and the high income upper class. But I think what is more telling is the cost of living, right? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how much money you're making. What matters is how much money you have available to spend and how much money you have available, left over after all your necessary expenses. There's a lot of people who live in kind of middle America, Kansas, Texas, or so on, who can survive in, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 and live comfortably with those salaries. So it's just a question of cost of living. Um, you
Yeah,
know,
but
I,
why does the cost of living go up so much in these hot spots?
I mean, it depends who you ask. There's a lot of questions to
Well,
that.
I'm
There's a lot
asking
of
you,
answers.
you who studied economics, why
I
is San
mean,
Francisco and New York City so much more expensive than some small town in Texas?
well, so I think Texas, obviously, there's a lot of land. And a big thing is just supply and demand. A lot of people do like to live in San Francisco and New York and a lot of these big cities. And those big cities have, limited space. So if you want to live in those places, you're going to be paying a little bit more. I think California has an issue with their housing policy, their building codes. A lot of people, when you go to San Francisco, what you will see is a lot of single family homes, but you won't see a lot of the multifamily homes, a lot of the apartments. A lot of that is not built in California, and they have housing rules that prevent people from converting their or just purchasing a space of land and just turning it into, a apartment complex. So a
Mm.
lot of that is the supply as well. In Texas, so I got a chance to live in Texas, and in Texas, there's no the housing codes are not as strong. You can build whatever you want to, how tall you want to, as much as you want to, and it's much easier for you to build a lot of these projects. So uh, I think part of the issue is just obviously people wanting to live in the city, but I think the bigger issue is how different places deal with their housing codes, and I think it's very restrictive in California versus other places where it's a lot easier for people to build a house or build an apartment complex.
Yeah, I think that that's definitely a factor without a doubt, but I don't think that that's like a huge factor in my personal opinion because for me it's more about what's around San Francisco, Apple, Google, everything else, Silicon Valley, who on average what industry for the longest time was paying the most money, right? Like I've known people that either worked at Facebook or Amazon, which I guess Amazon technically isn't in that in neighborhood, but the same industry where these people are getting paid like $700,000 a year,
Yeah,
right?
but it's a big factor because you're not going to build an apartment complex right next to Mark Zuckerberg's house. He
Right,
is going
but
to sue
but I
you. He's going to.
guarantee you that if the income levels in that area were not $700,000, but more like $100,000, I guarantee you that doesn't matter if they're same unit, same everything, they're not going to be charging the same price because no one would be renting them out. Like if you make $100,000 a year, can you afford a $3,500 a month apartment?
No, of course not.
Right. But they do it because there are people making $700,000 and they can charge as much as they want.
Yeah,
And
okay,
the,
fair
the,
enough.
the demand is there, right? Versus you go to Texas, I guarantee you that in a lot of these towns, obviously there's always going to be that spike in like big cities, but outside of that, nobody's making $700,000.
See, and this is where I disagree because if you go to places like West Texas, where you have the oil industry, there's a lot of there's a lot of demand for housing, and there's not enough housing. But what the city and these places allowed is for you to do mobile homes or you to do manufactured homes.
Did you
So
go to
there's a lot.
Dolores Park in San Francisco?
No.
Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful park that kind of like oversees the city. I mean, you get the best views ever. Imagine just putting a little trailer in there. You think they would be cool with that?
Well, not a trailer, but I'm sure there's a couple of homeless camps close by for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because I went there with like my parents and stuff, and I remember pretty sure the guy was just like shooting up meth or something. I don't know,
Yeah,
but it
I
was still
mean,
a beautiful
look,
park.
no, it is, but part of the issue is that when you look at San Francisco, right, a lot of the houses are single family homes, right?
Yeah,
There's not a lot of big apartment complex or big buildings for multifamilies.
yeah,
Um,
like I understand kind of why they want to do that because they also don't want to change the face of San Francisco, right? Like
sure. I,
like that kind of makes sense. And obviously, when you cut supply and the demand is still there, it's like prices go up. Like
yeah,
obviously, but
there, there's no free lunch. So you either have to pay on higher population rates, keep your city looking, you know, as you want it to look, um, or you allowed a bit more freedom on what you let people build and how you let industry build. And things are definitely going to look a lot different, maybe more industrial or maybe more.
yeah, it's a delicate balance, and I think that sometimes there has to be like exceptions and everything else. So I don't know enough about like the restrictions and everything else and what can be done to fix that. But I'm telling you, like you go to Philadelphia, also a lot of like single family homes, big city, huge, you know, like everything is there, and yet you can go in there and buy a house for like 300,000, and it's like why? But that's because the average income in Philadelphia is not that high. So I think like if like Amazon or Facebook were to like open up headquarters there and bring all these like rich paying jobs, I guarantee you that house is going to go from 300,000 to like 600,000 like in an instant.
I would say I would disagree with that. I think Philly is a little bit different because Philly has a lot of finance jobs. They have quite a few banks and a few funds and I think a couple insurance companies. So they have a good amount of jobs.
Yeah, it's yeah, there's
Not
no one's
not
denying that
paying
part, right? But
yeah,
the
not
average income
paying
in Philly has got to be like half of what like San Francisco's is.
yeah, not definitely not paying the high tech salary. I would definitely agree with that. But I would say that a lot of people in Philly don't live in actual Philly. A lot of people who work in Philly live in the suburbs, either in New Jersey or other places and outside of Philadelphia. So there's actually a lot of space and a lot of possibilities for you to live, 20, 30 minutes outside the city and commute into work. So
But
there's availability of housing in that sense that you can purchase some land outside of the city proper. Um,
but even in San
so
Francisco, you can leave proper San Francisco and everything is still like stupid expensive.
yeah, I mean you got San Francisco, you got Palo Alto, you got San Jose,
Right.
you got on the other side you got what Oakland, Union City, Fremont. So all of that area is very close by, and yeah, I mean again all of that area is suffering from kind of that lack of housing availability. Um, and part of it as well, it's hard for it's hard for people to have an incentive to build stuff. If you own a house, you don't want to have an apartment club complex right next to you tomorrow morning, right? Your house is gonna go down in value. So I mean, I definitely understand why people, don't, are probably not happy with bigger and, maybe more ugly looking buildings, but unfortunately, just on the Bay Area, the space is a bit limited and there's just not enough supply.
Yeah. I mean, even here in New York, there's like tons of apartment buildings that are like half empty. And for whatever reason, they just don't rent them out. And
Yeah,
that's just keeping supply low, right? Increasing price.
every market is different. Every market is different. I don't know the story for New York, unfortunately. I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
there's issues with rent control and stuff that I'm not
again,
aware.
I 1,000% agree that the supply and this availability and the proximity and everything, all that plays a factor. But I'm still sold and convinced that the number one driver of these high prices is just a large population of lot of wealth, right? Because yeah, even in Charlotte, I think the top floor of one of the condo buildings, like the top two floors was like a giant penthouse, and there was some guy from Miami that owned it or something like that.
Yeah, look, there's always going to be high-end properties in whatever city you're living.
Right.
I think the difference is in a place like Charlotte is that, okay, we're going to build this south part of the city. That's going to increase the prices. Well, that's going to push the people who were currently living there even out or to other
Gentrification,
places.
baby.
Yeah, but um, in Charlotte, at least there's plenty of space and plenty of, little cities close to Charlotte where people can and do live and can still afford to move to.
Yeah, but that's
Well,
because the average income isn't 700 to $800,000 in Charlotte, right?
yeah, sure, but I mean, again, there's not everyone's gonna make $700,000, and there's gonna be a limited amount of people who make $700,000. So even if you have, pockets of areas that are extremely wealthy, eventually, you can't just have everyone making $700,000. So eventually, you're gonna have to either spread that out, or some of that income is just gonna be concentrated in certain areas. So again, I think as long as you have the land and the availability and the supply, I think that things should kind of balance each other out. But in some places like California, that's just not happening.
Who do you blame for this? Is it Joe Biden? Should we vote him out?
I don't know, man. I think unfortunately both of our presidents and both of our political choices are kind of stupid. It's kind of sad that we're in a place where we're either voting a guy who has um, you know I don't know, early on Alzheimer's or something, and or we're voting a
Dementia.
guy, yeah, or we're voting in a guy who is a reality TV star. It's a sad place where we find ourselves
But
in
at least
both
it's
sides.
entertaining.
Yeah, I guess.
Like if you watch all the memes and the videos and everything else that come out of like Trump's either pro or anti-Trump, they're all hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a sad place where we're at. I have a lot of family in Colombia, and 10 years ago, everyone wanted to come to the U.S. to actually stay in the U.S. to make a living in the U.S. I feel like nowadays that's shifted to, hey, let's go to the US, let's work a couple of years, save some money, and then go back to whatever place we came in. I think, all this noise with politics and so on, it's making it hard for people outside and inside the US to make a living and to feel comfortable living in the US.
How would you rate that then here in the US? Like you've lived here, you have a decent job, you get to travel. How would you rate the state of the union as it is today?
Very, very rough, man. Very rough. I've lived in the liberal and conservative states both, and it's just, both people are disconnected from each other. I remember growing up when you could be friends with a Democrat, you could be friends with a Republican, and nobody really cared. Politics was just something, it was something you paid attention every couple of years, but it wasn't something that drove your life forward. I don't know if it was social media, I don't know what it was, but sometime in the last 10 years, your political identity became part of your personal identity. You were a Democrat and you had to have certain values. You were a Republican, you had to have certain values, and you had to live your life according to those values. So that mixture of politics and personal life became very apparent, very recent, and it's very annoying. It's very annoying that it's you can it's difficult to have friends with people from the other side. It's difficult to have conversations with people from the other side without things getting personal, and it's very sad. And it's very different from what I experienced growing up.
It has to be the social media, right? Like that has to be kind of like the number one factor that drove. There's always been that divide, right? Oh, I lean left, I lean right. But now, because of social media, it's just you're either an ally of the left or an ally of the right, and that's it, right?
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I don't know. I just yeah, it's very sad. It's a sad state of things where we're at right now. Hopefully, in a couple of years we can say things went back to normal or things swim back to the other side. But it's yeah, it's a difficult state where we're at right now.
Yeah, I definitely don't see that happening anytime soon, especially with this election, right? Because now it's like that whole war that was fought. What was it in 2016, which was still one of the funniest things ever, right? Like when Trump won, or was it 2015? Yeah, it was 2016 when he won, right?
Yeah, 2016.
Like just watching the world just be like, whoa, like, is this real? And it went from that to, man, if you even think about voting for Trump, I will fucking kill you. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Well,
whoa, like what happened?
it was similar to what happened during Obama. There was a lot of people who were, incredibly against the man. I mean, they thought that the man was the Antichrist or
Dude,
that
that
he
was
was going
amazing.
to. Yeah, I mean, there was people who seriously thought that the man was going to, I don't know, start a civil war or something. So I think from both sides, we're just becoming more and more radical, and we're just, we stopped talking to each other, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I think like the difference here though is with Obama, he was seen as a black Muslim who was not born in America. How can you let that man run this country, right? Like it goes against everything that is quote unquote um classical American, right? Like your pretty white family, Christian, loves the Constitution, blah blah blah. Like that's the classic, American vision of who we are, right? And then all of a sudden, this black dude comes up. And he's like, "Hey, I'm Barack Obama," and they're like, "What's your middle name?" And he's like, "Oh, it's Hussein." And people are like, "Well, fuck that." I remember 2001, and we're not gonna let that shit happen again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
But
sure
that that
those.
was that was the difference, right? With Trump, no one really took him serious. I don't even think he meant to win. And then when he did win, he's like, "All right, cool. Republicans, what do you want? You want this? All right, I'm all for it. Let's go." And he just put his head down and knocked out a ton of like immigration shit that like I don't hate everything about Trump because he was a good leader, right? Like he was like, "What do you want? You want this? All right, let's get it done." And that's what a leader should do, right? Get shit done. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that he got done, I disagree with. But that's what happens when You have Hillary Clinton putting hot sauce in her bag, right? To like prove that she's cool with black people. It's like, oh God. It's like she just like she had a layup and she chose not to
Yeah.
like put the ball in the basket.
Yeah, no, listen, I don't completely disagree. I think in both cases, at least with Obama, I think a lot of people, me included, were very hopeful of what it meant to have
Yeah.
an outsider, a black president, what it meant to the country.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think a lot of people ended up disappointed on what he ended up doing or what he ended up accomplishing. I would say, a lot of the things he wanted to get done, unfortunately, he couldn't get done.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that he, was hoping to, he was hoping to maybe be his legacy. He really didn't accomplish those things. So at least from my side, when he came into power, he spoke about reaching out to Russia, reaching out to North Korea, to normalize relationships with Cuba, close down Guantanamo Bay. It created this sense of hope for maybe a different outcome. Definitely something different from Bush, that in those days were very very closely related to the Iraq Afghanistan war. But nothing happened. He continued to bum people out. He had some issues in foreign policy, a lot of issues in foreign policy. Um, so a lot of his policies were left out in the air. I think I think what Trump has over other candidates is that he is a little bit of a little bit of an honest liar. I think someone said
Yeah.
this before, but he says things sometimes that he sees it. I think the most famous clip that I remember watching of him versus Hillary is Hillary saying that, hey, you take a bunch of tax deductions or you don't pay your taxes, and he says, yeah, you're right, because you passed those laws, because you and your friends in Congress passed those laws, and it would be stupid of me not to take advantage of those.
Yep.
So I, I mean, you can't blame the guy, and a lot of the kind of suspicious that people have towards Congress and the political class. I think he talks about it and he kind of relates to people about that. So
Yeah.
uh,
He's the outcome of what our system creates.
yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, right? Because I don't think he's qualified. I think we have a lot more people who either more smarter or have more experience. But at the end of the day, running for presidency is a little bit of a popularity contest, a little bit of a, high school prom king, prom queen type of thing. And
I think it's just too calculated. Like I remember I joined the it's so funny because like when I was in Charlotte, I was seen as like this liberal hippie that needs to go to hell. And then I come up here and they're like, "Oh, Pablo's a Republican," and I'm like, like, I try to just be reasonable on everything, right? Like, think about it. But I remember being part of the Charlotte Democratic, I don't know, club or whatever, where all the Democrats get together, and this is kind of where people get involved in politics, and if you want to run for city council or whatever. And I just remember meeting some people, and I knew someone that was in there and was like, "Oh, you see her over there? She's going to be the next one to get uh, promoted for city council seat number blah blah blah," right? And I'm like, "Why?" And we're like, "Well, you know, she's attractive, she's young, she's smart. Someone's in the seat now, but we're just waiting for her to like step down, and when she steps down, it'll be her turn." And I'm like, "That's just kind of weird, right? Like for a democratic process, it shouldn't The process shouldn't be like that, right? Like, okay, whose turn is it, right? And I hate that. And I think that that's a lot of the reasons why Hillary lost, right? Because she came off as like, hey, it's my turn.
Yeah,
At
fair,
least when,
fair.
especially when she went up against Obama, right? She's like, oh no, it's my turn, my turn. And then there's this young, charismatic black dude going up running against her, and they're like, oh wait, but he's kind of cool. And then the same thing happened when she ran for president, right? My turn, my turn, my turn. And everyone's like, we'll give the orange guy a try.
Yeah, I would say Hillary's biggest issue is just being inauthentic. She like you could clearly not trust that woman when she spoke. You could, I mean, even every time she smiled or laughed, it was like, oh wow, this is something like this is something you see in your nightmares.
Yeah.
So I think unfortunately she was not very authentic. She was not very relatable to people. That's just the unfortunate reality. And Biden, of course, he's suffering from old age, and he's losing some of that as well. So he's losing some of the appeal to the rest of America. So if I were to make a prediction, I expect to see Trump win in 2024, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he'll win too. Um, yeah.
And for the rest of the democratic process that you were saying, everything is kind of fixed. Both the Republicans and the
Yeah.
Democrats, they got together and say, let's set up these rules for choosing people to be elected. So when you talk about people like RFK trying to get into the ballot, it's very, very hard for him for that man to
Yeah, don't even get me started
get.
on that type of shit because that really pisses me off, especially like when Biden beat Bernie. Like South Carolina, everyone was told don't vote Bernie, vote Biden. Biden wins his first state, South Carolina. And then 4 years later, guess what? South Carolina is rewarded by being the first state to vote in the primaries for the Democrats. Coincidence? It's like,
Well, you can change. The states can choose who votes first or last in the primaries. They can change their dates. That's not up to the party.
no,
Um,
it is it's the state party that does that.
yeah, but
And you think Iowa's like, yeah, I don't want to be first.
no, Iowa wants to be first because they wanna
Exactly. So why did they give it to South Carolina?
they wanna be a factor. So you want the smaller states to
Right,
be
but
first.
they got a reward for handing Biden the presidency. Is
I
what I'm
I
saying.
would because usually primaries happen at the same time for both Democrats and Republicans. Um,
So
so
they
I
literally
would
went out of their way to reward South Carolina. Like this, like it just doesn't sit right with me.
I don't know if that was such a big deal, but yes, I'm assuming that people were incentivized to vote one way or the other. And
And
there was definitely a party candidate, which was Biden versus, the outsider candidate, which was, Bernie.
right, and this is why I get in arguments with Robbie because I do think that a third party is desperately needed.
Oh yeah,
At
absolutely.
least a third party, right? If not a fourth party as well. But let's start off with the third, right? And I keep telling people to vote third party because, like, like you're gonna end up with shit again. You're either gonna get Biden or Trump, and neither one of them are any good.
Yeah, a third party candidate would be pretty good. Unfortunately, again, it's just hard for people to get into the ballots. You need a lot of money. And I think in most states you need something like 150,000 signatures or some ridiculous number. A lot of
Right.
the and you have a set period of time to register into a ballot as well. So you have a set period of time for you to collect signatures. So if you want to be a third party candidate, you need to have the money and you need to start really, really early. And then you have to, follow all the different regulations and rules that each party puts on. So that both the Republicans and the Democrats, they got together and they decided these are the rules we want to follow. And those rules made it incredibly difficult for any type of third candidate or anyone else really to run against them. So you're always going to have either a Republican or a Democrat.
And you know what pissed me
Come,
off even more is the fact that Joe Biden would not entertain, or the Democrats wouldn't really entertain another candidate, right? So I think there was like one or two Democrats that decided to like run against Joe Biden this time, and they were like, "All right, well, cool, but we're just gonna pretend like they never signed up," and they got
yeah,
zero television time, zero news articles, zero everything. Why? Because the agenda is like, well, let's just push Biden through, right? Like
yeah.
let
Biden didn't he didn't debate anything.
right. Yeah, like even the Republicans were like, well, we, Trump's winning by like 80% popularity, so it's probably going to be Trump. But they still had like debates, right? Like they still had a process. The Democrats are like, nah, fuck that. We don't need a
To be
process.
fair, to be fair, Trump didn't really debate either. Um, and the
Yeah, but he
Republicans,
chose not to debate the rest of the candidates. How many Democrat debates were there?
there were a couple. There were three or four. There was not a lot. There was definitely not as many as the Republicans, but yeah, the same thing. Biden didn't choose to debate in those stages. I think it's also important to keep in mind that he is the incumbent president. So most of the time, usually the selection is kind of automatic. Whoever's in power kind of gets the selection through. But yeah,
When
I
your
listen.
president is 80 years old, falls asleep all the time, trips, falls, and has trouble like memorizing shit, there might should be a debate to just be like, hey, let's see if this guy's still up for it.
Yeah, look, I don't disagree. I absolutely don't disagree. Um, but yeah, it is what it is, and it's a sad state of affairs that we live in, man. And I don't know. I think at this point, a lot of people may not vote. We had record number of people voting for 2020. Let's see what what the voting is like in 2024.
All I care at this point is for my stocks to go up. I need AMD to continue to rally. I need Amazon to rally, Google and dogecoin. If dogecoin can just like hit the moon, I'll retire tomorrow.
I don't know, man. A lot of people were forecasting and are still forecasting some type of U.S. recession. I honestly don't know how we haven't experienced a U.S. recession with interest rates sitting at 5%. It's it's very
So
surprising.
this is a very confusing part, right? Because the economy is quote unquote doing fine, but more and more people are struggling. So like the employment is there. It's just I don't think real wages have gone up at all. Meanwhile, we had what 2, 3 years of like crazy inflation.
Actually, real wages increase for, surprisingly a lot, so, for the first time in decades in the last 2 years. Because a lot of people were obviously pressuring business to keep up with inflation. So real wages were actually going up during COVID. And because a lot of people, were not working during COVID. So there was a lot of, there was a lot of pressure on the labor market. Everyone was hiring for different parts of the economy. So at least during COVID, wages were going up. Unfortunately, you also had inflation going up fast as well. So a lot of those gains were kind of offsetting each other. But yeah, I think right now you're getting a lot of people losing jobs on the high tech industries. So that's very visible, right? So it's very visible when you see cuts in Microsoft or cuts in Google, because a lot of people know those companies and a lot of people recognize those companies. On the other side, there's a lot of, there is a lot of jobs in certain industries and things like retail or manufacturing. So I think it's more of a disconnect of what's available versus what people really want. Uh, and it's just gonna be, you know, it's just gonna be a question of, what happens with that disconnect and what happens with the labor market as things get a little bit worse. And I don't know, everyone expects that recession to eventually happen, and I do too as well.
Well, it's inevitable, right? That a recession hits. It's just part of the cycle. Predicting when or how it'll hit, nobody nobody can accurately predict that. We can definitely
Yeah,
have
that's a good point.
ideas, right?
That's a good point. Our cycle is a boom bust cycle. So yeah, you're right.
I guess hang on, let me look this up. I just want to get a accurate definition of a recession. Okay. Generally identified by a fall in GDP in two successive quarters. So 2 quarters of like
Negative
negative
growth.
GDP. And I don't think that's happened in like forever, right?
I think it did happen last year, but again, it's just very, very soft recessions.
Not
Um,
because let me see. Yeah, because I think we had like 1 quarter and maybe like a quarter and a half of like negative GDP, but that was because of the pandemic. But then like that was it. Like the GDP has actually been steadily going up
Steadily going up. You
or
gotta you gotta
positive, you know.
think Biden for that one.
I don't think so. I don't give him credit for almost anything.
Yeah, I to be honest, most presidents have nothing to do with the economy.
All right, so
It's
yeah,
really
so let's see here. Real GDP from preceding quarter. So Q1 it went slightly negative, and then Q2 it was like flat, and that was
yeah,
all in 2022. But other than that, GDP has been solid, and the last time GDP was really negative was Q2 of 2020 with the pandemic, right?
yeah.
Um, yeah. So yeah, there hasn't been a real recession in quite some time. But I mean, okay, but back to the stocks and doggy coin, I don't think a recession is necessarily bad for the stocks, right? Like normally a recession may actually be good.
No, I think recessions are bad in general for everyone involved. I would say the good news is that the fact that companies are able to survive with 5% interest. Because if you kind of think back on the last decade, interest rates were 0% basically,
Yeah.
and money was available. You could, you know, buy, sell, borrow, invest, do whatever you wanted to.
Free money.
So it was a lot easy for companies to survive, a lot easy for a lot of stupid ideas to get through, and a lot of business plans to get approved. Think about your crypto scams, your crypto exchanges, your tech companies that failed.
Do
A
you
lot
think
of
you
them
think you
were
think crypto's a scam?
um I don't know. I think things like Dogecoin, Shiba Coin. I mean, there's like
There's a ton
there's a
of
lot.
coins out there.
Yeah, like all these coins. I do think that they are a little bit of a scam. They don't have any use cases beyond just trading between people. I think maybe something like Bitcoin and Ethereum that have other use cases, or at least are used by other coins to trade their coins. I think they have a little bit more of a usage. Um,
Like ground to
but
stand
even
upon.
Yeah, but even those type of things, I just it's not a strong investment in my opinion. But I mean, who knows? A lot of people have made ton of money, and a lot of I'm more of the traditional type of investment type of person, but there's been plenty of people who made millions of dollars trading on it. So what do I know? I think it's just a very high risk investment. I wouldn't personally get involved in it.
Yeah, because like look at my doggy coin. I have about 3,200 doggy coins. If I had in the
What
last
is
in
what
the
is that?
last
$5?
doggy coin, sir, this is over $500, buddy. So
32 3,200 doggy coins. What is that? What is that dog? It's
right now it's at 17 cents.
what is that? $6,000? $5,000?
No, it's 500.
$500?
Yeah, I have 575 for about 3,200 doggy coins.
What's the point?
Well, here's the point. Had I put, let's say that 3 months ago, I had put in $10,000 into doggy coin, right? 10,000 3 months ago. Doggy coin is up 93%.
You'd have had $20,000.
Yes. $10,000 in 3 months, easy, right? If you look at it a year ago, it's actually up 137%.
Well, if I would have invested $10,000 in pre-2008 Apple, I would probably be a millionaire nowadays.
Yeah, but that's a long, long, long time ago, right?
There, but
This
uh,
is, you're more than doubling your money in a year.
yeah, I
This is the
just
attraction of it, right? Like this is why people throw a shit ton of money into this doggy coin. So then that way, in a year or two, boom, it goes boom. I just tripled my money. I take it out. I pay Uncle Sam whatever his portion is, and then you go buy whatever you want to buy.
yeah, maybe you're right.
It's
I
risky
just
though,
say
right? Because yeah,
I
what
just
is
use that.
doggy coin? Like, what is it?
Well, here's the thing. There's a big difference between paper gains and realized gains, right? So let's say let's say Doggy Coin goes to $1, right? So those $500 that you have, what is that? 5x's. So you have $500, it 5x's, you now have $2,500. Those are paper gains. Until you take your money out, until you have that money sitting in cash and dollars in your bank account, those are paper gains. Because the same time it goes up to $5,000 or $1, whatever it is, it can come back down again. And it has happened, right?
No,
Last
yeah,
year,
100%. I think like what is it? 2021, it was at 57 cents. Doggy coin was
right,
at 57. Right now it's at 17.
right. So as there's a lot of winners, there's usually a lot of losers. So I'm sure there's a few people who, cashed out at 55, 56, maybe even 57, right? But
And
then there's
they're
a
rich.
lot of people a lot of people who held it through, and now they're
Diamond
sitting at
hands. Diamond
now,
hands.
now they're sitting at Dogecoin got 17 cents though. It's just not something I'm interested in investing, at least not for like anything long term. I would say stick to stocks. At least there's like, some revenue, some income being produced there, some use cases, beyond just memes or, you know, funny looking dogs.
Yeah, it's a weird world that we live in.
Hey, listen, but if you can time it right, maybe you're one of the few who make a million. I mean, I think I told you before that I know a couple people who make a killing in crypto before. So, um,
Yeah, man.
It's definitely
One of my
possible.
buddies bought his mom a house and did other stuff with it because, yeah, he is early investor in Bitcoin and eventually sold it. And yeah,
Yeah,
he's sitting
exactly.
pretty.
I I used to work with a guy who made a killing doing ICOs overseas and crypto. So, I mean, if you're one of the lucky ones, and that's just the thing for me. I think if you put your money on the S&P 500, there's no luck involved. It will eventually grow. You will
Yeah, but
get
it grows
eventually
so
get 7%.
slow. I hate that.
Well, then put it on the casino slots. Let it ride.
I mean, could you imagine? Like, I wish I had the balls to do that. Like, and not necessarily like, okay, like you, like when we went to Vegas and I put $100 on black and it hit, I had $200. I was like, wow, I just doubled my money. And that feels good. And you want to do it again and again and again. This is
So
why
you
I'm
lose all
telling you,
your money.
if I had the balls, I would absolutely put all of my money into dogecoin. Like I would have done it like, like a year ago or whatever. And then just wait for it to like double and then take it out and then I'm sitting pretty. But I don't, it's too risky, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a guy called the Dutch coin millionaire. He took out like 250,000 loans or something on his credit cards and his house, and he made $1 million, and then he paid it off. So
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I'm doing, but I'm just putting it all in like a few stocks. I'm just like, all right, these stocks better go boom in the next like 2 years, and it'll be even if they don't go boom in the next 2 years, in 10 years, it'll be well worth it. But I'm not that patient. I want it to happen now.
well, good luck with that. And if you know which one is gonna go boom, you let me know so I can also put my money in there.
I told everyone, I'm like last year, like a year ago, I was like, buy Amazon. Like Amazon just sitting pretty. Am I a financial advisor? Do I know what I'm talking about? Not really, but it just seemed to make sense. And Amazon has skyrocketed. I wish I had bought more AMD when it was at like $50, but I actually got
I
scared.
I actually bought a bunch of AMD when it was at 50, and then I sold it like at 80 or 90
Yeah, I'm
because I
still
thought
in there.
it hit the cap.
It's at 100 and
80, 180.
yeah, 180. So if it can get to 100, I mean, if it can get to $1,000, whew, mm-mm.
Well, you let me know. We might have to figure out some type of wealth income tax between us. I get a little bit of that money coming my way as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll make sure and split the wealth.
I mean,
You
that's only
dirty socialist, you.
it's only the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, yeah. Don't you get your checks from Bill Gates and Jeff
Yeah,
Bezos?
yeah, exactly.
All right, Carlos. Well, thank you for coming on and talking about the economy and politics and how do you go running anymore?
Yeah, I still run once in a while. I've been not quite out of shape since the pandemic, unfortunately, but I've been trying to run a bit.
Well, probably before the pandemic too, but
Oh, let me rephrase. I'm in worse shape.
yeah. Nah, man, like if it wasn't for that stupid bet, I would absolutely not be running. And I'm sure I would be a lot heavier than what I am now. So I will
You are
thank you for
welcome.
that. I will thank you
Yeah,
for that. And the
you're welcome.
$700
Yeah. Okay.
and the memories.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Carlos. Well, again, thank you for making the time. Thank you for the chat. And I will see you in Charleston for the bridge run.
Good, sir. Thank you for the conversation. It's good to remember some of that, as painful as it was.
It was the best time, man. It was the best time.
It was the worst of time.